is interpretation. A poem well read is a poem well understood. In this podcast, brought to you by the Literary Life podcast, poet Thomas Banks will help you increase your love and understanding of poetry. Poetry is not a silent endeavor. It's meant to be heard, and more importantly, it's meant to be recited out loud. Join us now as poet Thomas Banks presents The Well-Read Poem.
Hello, and welcome to The Well-Read Poem. Today's poem is very old, and it's not exactly possible to assign a definite date as to when it was written. We know that it was first published. It first appeared in print in 1803 thanks to the ministrations of Sir Walter Scott. Sir Walter Scott, most of you probably have heard of as a novelist, probably the greatest of Scottish romantic writers, with maybe the arguable exception of Burns and Byron, and one of the most influential novelists of the 19th century. Walter Scott more or less invented the historical novel and is still remembered and very much worth reading in that genre. So Ivanhoe, Kenilworth, Rob Roy, Waverley, those are two of my favorites, and a handful of others. But there was another side to Walter Scott as well, and before he made a name for himself as a novelist, he had written a great deal of poetry and also edited collections of old Scottish poetry as well. One of his first important books, if not his first, absolutely first important book, was called Minstrelsy of the Scottish Border. It appeared in 1803, and it was a collection of old traditional poems and ballads, which included the one I'm about to read to you, the Twa Corbies. And Twa Corbies, it's a Scottish dialect, so it's the two crows. And this poem is kind of interesting because it bears a pretty close resemblance to an old English poem, from probably the late Middle Ages, called The Three Ravens. So here we have two ravens or crows, and in the English poem you have three. And in the English poem, which is the older of the two, we have this conversation between three ravens who are looking down on the body of a knight who has been killed in a fight, presumably, and his hunting dogs are watching over him, and his wife, who is of course pregnant with his child, is heartbroken with grief that her husband has died so terribly. That's the English poem. The Scottish poem, there are a couple of changes. Number one, there's only two birds talking. And number two, the poem is much more grim, and you could say that the Scottish poem inhabits a more heartless and pitiless universe. In the Scottish poem, we learn that not only is the man's wife or lover not mourning over him, but she has already run off to find another man. And we are left to presume that, maybe his death was not an accident here. So, this is the Twa Corbies, author unknown, collected by Sir Walter Scott in 1803. And you'll probably want to read along with this one yourself, on the page, because it's in Scottish dialect. And if you are not Scottish yourself, it might be a little bit difficult to make out some of the words here. So, the Twa Corbies. As I was walking alane, I heard Twa Corbies making a main. The tane unto the other say, Where shall we gang and dine today? In behint yon old fail dyke, I wot there lies a new slain knight, and naebody kens that he lies there, but his hawk, his hound, and lady fair. His hound is to the hunting gane, his hawk to fetch the wild-fowl hame, his lady's tane another mate, so we may make our dinner sweet. You'll sit on his white house bane, and I'll pike out his bonny blue een. We I lock o' his golden hair will seek our nest when it grows bare. Mony a one for him makes main, but nine shall ken where he is gane. O'er his white banes, when they are bare, the wind shall blaw for evermare. This poem also has kind of a bit of mystery in it because you notice it switches perspectives right at the beginning. It actually begins with a human narrator. It begins with some unnamed person who says, as I was walking all alane, I heard Twa Corbies making a main. So this person, this man or woman, this child, we don't know who, hears this conversation between the two birds and then, just disappears from the poem completely. The poem doesn't return to this person. Who are they and what are they doing? We don't know. They're one of those very mysterious characters like the narrator of Robert. I almost said Robert Burns. Excuse me. No, like the narrator of Robert Frost's "Stopping by the Woods in a Snowy Evening." The person, we don't know anything about this person except they have miles to go before they sleep. Miles to go before they sleep. Once again, we're not told if it's a man or a woman, the age of the person. So here we have another mysterious narrator who enters in and then drops out, and the two crows between them tell the rest of the story. One of the crows actually does more of the talking, and the other is there simply to prod, its partner along with a starting question. Where shall we go and eat today? I mean, that's if you're a crow or a raven, that's maybe one of the only questions you have to ask yourself. And it's kind of convenient because, well, not nature, but maybe some darker force has provided a meal for you. In behint jan old fail dyke, and fail is earth or turf here. So in behind the old turf dyke, I see there lies a new slain knight. And it's mysterious. It's still unknown to the world where he is. His body is abandoned, and probably he has been killed by someone. And he's been abandoned this time around, not just by his lady, but also by his hound and his hawk. In the English poem to which this is kind of a counterpart, the hound and the hawk are faithfully guarding over the body of their master, but there is no loyalty in this universe. In this universe, once you're down, and no one is going to stay there to help you. And this night, he is, left alone to rot in the wild and provide a meal for the crows. Very sad, very sad. It's one of those, I don't know, it's not a nihilistic poem exactly, but it's one of those harsh facts of life poems, which you don't want to read every day, but reading them every once in a while, I think, is probably strong medicine for all of us. So I'll read this one once more. The Twa Corbies, author unknown, collected by Sir Walter Scott. As I was walking all alane, I heard Twa Corbies making a main. The tane unto the other say, where shall we gang and dine today? In behind yon old fail dyke, I wot there lies a new slain knight, and naebody kens that he lies there, but his hawk, his hound, and lady fair. His hound is to the hunting gane, his hawk to fetch the wild-fowl hame, his lady's tane another mate, so we may make our dinner sweet. You'll sit on his white house bane, and I'll pike out his bonny blue een. We I lock i' his golden hair, will seek our nest when it grows bare. Mony a one for him makes main, but nane shall ken where he is gane. O'er his white banes, when they are bare, the wind shall blaw for evermare. And one thing I like about this poem, and about really quite a few ballads, I should say, is that this could be expanded to the length of a drama, to the length of the play or a novel, but it's so wonderfully compressed and it gives you just enough detail to make out the very, well, maybe it's tasteless to say this here, but the very bare bones of the human drama, the human tragedy that is here ensued. A knight went out hunting. He is now dead. His lady, on the same day he has died, has already gone off to marry someone else. Maybe the someone else who is responsible for his no longer being alive. Who knows? We got some femme fatale on our hands here. And not even his dog and his hawk are there to keep him company. So you could take those materials and weave them out to the length of a longer story than this, a 300-page novel if you wanted to. But, you can also keep it very tightly compressed into just the bare essentials of narrative, as the ballad writer has done so very expertly. So if this poem is one that you liked, a resource you might refer to, and I think you can find this for free online, is the Oxford Book of Ballads, which was produced around the same time as the Oxford Book of English Verse, the original Oxford Book of English Verse edited by Sir Arthur Quiller Couch. And that has not only this one, but many more of similar vintage. So I recommend this to you and hope that this gets you reading a few ballads here and there. This has been the Well-Read Poem. Thank you very much.
This has been The Well-Read Poem with poet Thomas Banks, brought to you by the Literary Life podcast. For show notes and the text of the poem, visit theliterary.life. To find out more about Thomas Banks and the poetry resources he offers, go to houseofhumaneletters.com. This podcast is patron-supported. Visit patreon.com/theliterarylife to find out how you can support this podcast and get additional bonus content, including monthly live poetry explications. If you enjoy this podcast, please subscribe, rate, and review. Thank you for listening.